Have you ever wondered how your financial situation compares to other families your age? Not the highlight reel you see on social media, the real numbers. What do American households actually have saved, invested, and built up at different stages of life? Today, we're going through the real data, and I think some of it is going to surprise you in both directions. If you're new here, this is Minivan Millionaire Plan, a channel built for everyday families who want to build real wealth without the hype. Hit subscribe before we dive in. This is exactly the kind of content we do here, and there's a lot more coming. Before we get into the numbers, there's one thing you need to understand, and it changes everything about how you interpret this data. There are two different ways to measure net worth across a population. There's the average and there's the median, and they tell very different stories. The average American household net worth, according to the Federal Reserve's 2022 survey of consumer finances, is just over $1 million. The median is $192,700. That gap is not a typo. It reflects how dramatically wealth concentrates at the top. And it's one of the most misunderstood things about net worth statistics. A small number of extremely wealthy households pulls the average way up, making most people feel like they're far behind when they're actually not. Federal Reserve. The median is the better benchmark for most people. It tells you what the household in the exact middle looks like. Half of households have more, half have less. That's the number we're going to focus on today. Now let's walk through the numbers by age group. Under 35, the median net worth for households under 35 jumped from $13,900 in 2019 to $39,000 in 2022. A huge leap, partly driven by rising home values and stock market gains during the pandemic years. If you're in your late 20s or early 30s and you have somewhere around $39,000 in net worth, you're right in the middle of your peers. If you're below that, you're not far off. And you have decades of compounding ahead of you. Ages 35 to 44. This is where the numbers start to move more meaningfully. The median net worth for this age group is around $135,000. This is the decade where mortgages, investments, and career earnings start to stack up, but also where the cost of raising kids, childcare, and family life are at their peak. If you're in your late 30s or early 40s and you're in this range, you're tracking with the typical American family. Ages 45 to 54, median net worth here is approximately $247,000. By this point, mortgages are further along, retirement accounts have had more time to grow, and for many families, the most expensive years of raising kids are starting to wind down. This is often the decade where the invisible progress we talked about in a previous video starts to feel more visible. Ages 55 to 64, median net worth climbs to around $364,000. This is the home stretch before retirement for most people. The families who built consistent habits in their 30s and 40s are starting to see the real payoff here. Ages 65 and older. Net worth often peaks around retirement age, then gradually declines as people begin withdrawing savings, spending down assets, and living on fixed incomes. The median for this group sits around $409,000 at peak before that drawdown begins. Now, here's the part I really want you to sit with. If you're 45 with a net worth of $300,000, the average of roughly $975,000 might make you feel behind. But the median of $247,000 shows you're actually ahead of the typical household in your age group. Financial media frequently cite averages without this context, which makes completely normal financial positions look inadequate. So before you feel discouraged by a number you saw in an article somewhere, ask yourself, was that the average or the median? Because those are two completely different benchmarks. There's one more thing worth understanding about these numbers. Home equity makes up the majority of net worth for middle wealth households. Excluding it drops the overall median from $192,900 to roughly $57,900. That's a staggering difference. What it means practically is that for a lot of American families, most of their net worth is locked up in their home, not in liquid investments or retirement accounts. That's not necessarily bad, but it's worth knowing. A house is an asset, but it's not an asset you can easily draw on in an emergency or use to fund your retirement without either selling or borrowing against it. This is why building retirement savings alongside your home equity matters. The families who are most financially secure aren't just homeowners, they're homeowners who also have meaningful money in tax-sheltered retirement accounts. So, what do you do with all of this? First, calculate your own net worth if you haven't already. Add up everything you own, your home equity, retirement accounts, savings, investments, car value. Then subtract everything you owe, mortgage balance, car loans, student loans, credit cards. That's your number. Write it down. Second, compare it to the median for your age group, not the average. The median is your real benchmark. Third, don't just track your bank balance. Net worth is the number that actually tells you whether you're building something real over time. Check it every few months. You'll be surprised how much movement happens when you're paying attention. And fourth, remember that these numbers are a compass, not a finish line. Your income, your debt mix, your specific situation, they all matter. Someone with $200,000 in home equity and no retirement savings is in a very different position than someone with $200,000 split across a 401k, a Roth IRA, and a brokerage account. Even though the net worth number looks the same, the goal isn't to hit a specific number by a specific age. The goal is to keep moving the number in the right direction consistently over a long period of time. That's how ordinary families build real wealth. If this kind of real data-driven look at family finances is useful to you, this is what Minivan Millionaire Plan is all about. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned because we're doing the Canadian version of this video next with data specific to Canadian families. Drop a comment below. Where do you land compared to the median for your age? See you in the next one.